Damian Lillard is coming back to Portland. He just signed a 3-year, $42 million contract that has a no-trade clause. I like this move for both sides. Dame gets to play for the organization that drafted him and where he had his most memorable moments. Plus, he gets to rehab at home and not have to worry about being traded. The Trailblazers have a way better supporting cast for Dame than they had when he was traded. And if Dame recovers well from his Achilles injury, he can make the Blazers a playoff team. The only thing I don't understand is what this means for the Blazers in the long term. Is Dame coming off the bench or starting? If Dame is starting, is Scoot or Sharp coming off the bench? And if either of those players come off the bench, does that mean that they will be traded soon? Either way, I think the Blazers have a good future and are just missing one more piece to make them a top 4 seed. Marcus Smart just signed with the Lakers, and I think this makes the Lakers better. I know Marcus Smart has taken a step back and hasn't been healthy the past 2 years, but he's only 31 and has a skill set that the Lakers need badly, which is just anyone that can defend at the point of attack and hit some threes, especially after losing Dorian Finney-Smith. I just don't know how healthy Marcus Smart will be for the Lakers, especially when you see how many games he's played in the last 2 years. In 2023, he played 20 games. In 2024, he played 34 games. If Marcus Smart can at least play 50 games, I'm comfortable saying that the Lakers will most likely be the 5th seed with the Nuggets, Rockets, Thunder, and Wolves being ahead of them. Do you guys think the Lakers can be in the conversation for a top 4 seed if they can get another good wing? The Suns have waived and stretched Bradley Beal's contract. This means that the Suns are now into the second apron. This allows them to aggregate contracts for trades, have the MLE to sign free agents, and have the ability to sign and trade for a player. It's cool that the Suns have these options now, but I still don't like that the Suns will have Bradley Beal's contract for another 5 years instead of just 2. They can probably change my mind if the Suns somehow sign or trade for a player that can help the Suns. Can the Suns somehow do a sign and trade for Kuminga from the Warriors? Clippers fans, I know you guys are excited that you basically traded Norman Powell for Bradley Beal and John Collins, and I think John Collins will be an impactful player for the Clippers. But guys, Bradley Beal is not who you think he is. Norman Powell would have been better for the Suns than Bradley Beal last season. Bradley Beal in theory is a good player when he's healthy, but that's the key word, healthy. This man is never healthy enough to build chemistry with his teammates and impact winning. He'll have a random game against the Jazz and be out because of some minor injury, and you'll think Brad will only be out for 1 or 2 games, and next thing you know, he's out for another 3 weeks. And then Beal will come back from that injury for 4 games, and then boom, he's injured again. Beal is just never healthy, and I bet Clippers fans are going to be tired of this man by January. I think the Clippers will have a good regular season and be the 5th seed or 6th seed, but Beal isn't going to make the Clippers a title contender, especially if the only good defenders in the starting lineup are Kawhi and Zubac. Bradley Beal's agent really came out and said that teams need to let Brad be Brad, which is insane to me because what does that mean? Is his agent trying to say that the Clippers should let Beal have the ball most of the time and try to score 30 points like it's 2020? The Clippers already have 3 players that should have more shots than Beal in Harden, Kawhi, and Zubac. Beal has entered a new stage of his career that every All-Star has struggled with, like John Wall and Westbrook. Beal needs to understand if he wants to continue to play in the NBA that he's a role player now and not an all-star. If Beal continues to power and not try on defense, then he's going to be on a vet min after his contract with the Clippers is up. Chris Paul has signed with the Clippers. I like this move just for Chris Paul because he gets to be on a playoff team and live by his family in LA. And this might be his last season in the NBA, so it's cool to see him back on a team that he had a big impact on when he was there. But for the Clippers, I'm just confused about their roster. They just have too many old players on the team. The oldest average starting lineup last year in the league was the Bucks at 28 years old. And if you look at the Clippers starting lineup this upcoming season of Harden, Beal, Kawhi, Collins, and Zubac, that lineup's average age would be 31. That's 3 years older than the Bucks last year, and now they added a 40-year-old to come off the bench for them. This Clippers team would have been crazy in 2020, but right now their ceiling is probably just a 6th seed if they're healthy. What is going on in Golden State? They have not made a single move in free agency. They lost Kevon Looney to the Pelicans, Gary Payton is still a free agent, and people have been reporting that Hartford and Melton would be signing with them for weeks, but nothing has happened. And the Warriors still haven't figured out what to do with Jonathan Kuminga. Maybe the Warriors' price in a signing trade for Kuminga is too high, and they'll just end up re-signing him and promising to trade him at the trade deadline. Either way, if I was a Warriors fan, I'd be going crazy right now. Kuminga is one of the toughest players for me to evaluate. I know I shouldn't like his game because he doesn't rebound, pass, or defend, but then I'm like, he's 22, athletic, 6'7", can create his own bucket. There's not that many players in the NBA at that size that can create their own shot. If I'm a mid-team, I would consider trading for him because he's still young and maybe just needs a new environment that will give him more opportunities. On the Warriors, we've seen that Kuminga has a short leash. If Kerr doesn't like how Kuminga plays, he'll just bench him and not play him. So maybe that has impacted his growth as a player. But at the same time, you would think Kuminga would be better since he's in a team that has one of the best point guards of all time in Steph Curry. I guess we'll find out in 3 years if the Warriors will regret not keeping Kuminga. Should the Suns do a sign and trade for Kuminga? If Kuminga is willing to sign a contract that's $25 million a year and all it takes is Grayson Allen or Royce and Richards to get it done, I would do it. But I think the Suns have a low chance of getting him because it sounds like Kuminga still wants a $30 million per year contract. And I think that's just too much for a power forward that can't defend, pass, or rebound. I think 20 to 25 million makes more sense because he's still young and can create his own shot. And the Suns might not be able to get him because the Warriors want a lot for him in a sign and trade. So who knows if the Warriors would want Royce and Richards. Even though those 2 players would help with their rotation since they have 3-star players that are old and miss a good amount of games. I think the Kings are going to be the Kings and do something crazy this season. As everyone knows, they're basically the West version of the Chicago Bulls with DeMar, Levine, and a European center that can't defend. I think they did a good job at the draft with Nick Clifford, and I like the signing of Dennis Schroeder, but I feel feel like I say that every time he gets traded 2 months later. Either way, they're still most likely in the playing race for the 10th and 9th seed. So they just feel like a team that's stuck in the middle and might trade more than they have to just to get a player they like. I think they can be the team that does a sign-in trade for Kuminga where they give him $30 million a year, and the Warriors get a first-round pick back and whatever players are needed to complete the trade. I like Kuminga, but a $30 million per year contract and a first-round pick would be wild to give up, and I think it's something the Kings would do just to be in the playoffs. The Suns just signed 2 guards, Jordan Goodwin and Jared Butler. I've always liked Jordan Goodwin's game when he was on the Suns. He's like a Kogi where you never question his motor. He was always fighting over screens and not letting players blow by him, and he was really good at getting rebounds. The only negative thing about him is that he can't hit a 3 to save his life. Last season for the Lakers, he shot 38% from 3 in 29 games, so maybe he's improved, but I doubt it. Jared Butler seems like he's a good third-string point guard. Sixers fans were a big fan of his passing last year, and he shot 35% from 3. Gambo also reported that the Suns are going to let these two compete to be the third-string point guard for the team. I'm really hoping Joel Embiid has a healthy season for the Sixers. After reading the ESPN article about him and what he's been through the past couple seasons, how can you not root for this guy to come back and have a healthy season? This man's teammate Nick Batum would see his knee before and after games and wonder how he can walk. I just hope Joel Embiid can have a healthy season to show basketball fans why he's one of the best centers in the league. When this man is healthy, he looks like KD on offense, just hitting middies, threes, and driving towards the rim at his size is incredible to watch. And then you can't forget that at his best on defense, he's basically Anthony Davis. I feel like nobody's talking enough about the Pacers letting Miles Turner go to another Eastern Conference team. It's like we all got the Shams notification in the morning and just forgot about it the next day. If I was a Pacers fan, I would be big mad. I get that Halliburton's Achilles injury has changed things, but it shouldn't mean that you let go of your starting center for nothing. I get that Turner was terrible in the Thunder series, but he was one of the reasons the Pacers even made it to the finals. I just don't understand how the Pacers front office can let Miles Turner leave for another team on a reasonable contract. If Miles Turner wanted $35 million, then I'd understand not wanting to re-sign him, but $25 million is a good contract. I don't know what the Pacers are thinking. Donovan Mitchell has some insane PR. This man has had good teams built around him that have won 50 plus games in the regular season but has never been to the conference finals. Anthony Edwards was able to make the conference finals twice in the West with Mitchell's former teammate Gobert. Booker was able to make the finals. Luka has made the conference finals and the NBA finals. Brunson has made it to the conference finals in the East. All these players have made it to the conference finals in the same conference as Mitchell with worse teams. But somehow Mitchell never gets criticized. The Cavs should have made the conference finals last season even with Garland getting hurt. They were that good. It's wild to me that he didn't get any criticism when he was on a 60 plus win team that lost in 5 games in the second round. When players like Embiid who have been injured in the playoffs get made fun of all the time for not getting to the conference finals. If the Cavs don't make the conference finals again this year in a weak Eastern Conference, will people finally start to criticize Mitchell? Second round picks have become really valuable in recent years. It feels like every NBA draft there is a player that is drafted in the second round that contributes to their team. The Memphis Grizzlies are the best example of this. They were able to draft good role players like Gigi Jackson, Jalen Wells, and Cam Spencer. The Pelicans were able to draft one of the best 3-and-D players in the league in Herb Jones with the 35th pick. Even players in the 50s range of the second round can become good role players. Komara was drafted with the 52nd pick and is the Trailblazers' best 3-and-D wing. Quinn Post was drafted with the 52nd pick and became a valuable rotation player for the Warriors. Now I wonder who will be the second round pick in this year's draft that will be considered the steal of the draft. As a Suns fan, I hope it's Fleming or Kobe Bryant.